Recording. Yeah. So today I will be the only one who is teaching, and we will mostly focus on Express.js. How is the last status of you? Do you have any problem so far, or is there anything that makes you feel annoyed? Guys, girls.
For me not.
It was okay. Was understandable.
Okay. And did you all watch the Express part of Udemy course?
Yes.
I did.
Okay. Is there anyone who didn't finish it yet? No? Okay, then I will assume that you know a lot of stuff. Let's start. Okay. So first of all, I have this project. I will try to create something similar to the assignment that you will get today after this lesson. So then you will know how to do it. I will first of all initiate the npm repository. And then I will install Express. And you already saw what is body parser, right? Did you, or?
Yes.
Yes, we have seen it.
Okay, but I am not sure how it's called. Let's see. Yeah, with dash. But do you also know what does it do?
The Angela was doing while she was making the calculator.
Okay.
I am remembering from that part.
Okay. Body parser is basically when you have, we already saw what is HTTP request and what is post request. When you do a post request HTTP call, then you send some data with your call. And in order to access that data in Express.js, in Node.js, we need body parser, which basically parses that body to the readable format, so we can access and we can read it. We can do something with it in the Express. Is it clear?
No.
No? Okay. So let me then share whiteboard. Yes. So we have now here, let's say, our Express server, and then we make calls like a get call, for example, for slash directly slash, and we create a gate, as we remember from the last lesson, and then we basically get this get request and we respond with something else from that gate again. Is it clear so far, Ika?
Yes.
And then we have, let's say, another gate for post request. This was that one was get request without any data, but with post request, when you send a request to server, you send some data with it. Like, let's say in this case, an array and 1, 3, or 4, whatever. And then this data is sent to the server, but it is not readable for, let's say, us. It's like a buffer from text file. When we read the text file, we need to convert it to string. So this is this information goes to the server, but it is not human readable. It is parsed to something else, and then encrypted, let's say. And then in order to make this available again inside the Express, we get this data, and then just inside this gate, after getting the data, we inside the server, we parse it somehow. And in this part, we need body parser, and then it becomes again. So here, when we get it, it is something like that. It's not what we have here. It's not an RI. And then when we use body parser, it becomes again an RI with 3, 1, 3, 4. So it's like the
So
old one.
it makes the data readable for the server.
Yes.
Okay.
And this process, that something in between the HTTP request and the server, called middleware. Don't forget this. It is called middleware. Okay. So we will have a lot of middlewares, for example, in the future. Not a lot of, but sometimes, for example, you will want to also do something else. For example, for authentication, you will use this session middleware or whatever. But don't forget this name. It's called middleware. We will use it later on. Okay. So let's get back to the main screen. I did install body parser and Express. I will create now index file, index.js or server.js. It depends what you want actually. Let's say server. And then I will require first Express, and then I will require also body parser, but this will not work because we cannot call variables in JavaScript with dash. So if I will check if this is, yeah, this is correct, and then this one will be body p parser. Okay. Okay, this is, by the way, called kebab case. So something, kebab case JavaScript. And just for information, so this is Pascal case with capital and capital inside also. This is camel case. We start with lowercase, and then if there is any other word in the middle, we basically start again with this, and then snake case, and also this one, which is, as you see, kebab case. Okay, it is funny but true. So I will go to Express.js website and then get started. Part, hello world. Yes, I will copy this. Let's delete this. So I have port. I have I get for hello world. I will start this first. Nodamon server.js, and I will go to localhost 3000 to see hello world. Okay. So that was it. And let's create something better. Did you see the parameters and how to access parameters already or not? Did you see something like that? For example, ID.
No.
Yeah, okay. This is something new then for you. Probably you will see with Angela later on, but let me now. But you saw then the post request, how you make post request, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And did you use Postman for this or something else?
Yes.
Okay. And you know how to create a calculator, basically, I guess.
Yes.
But does anyone, like, do you all feel comfortable with this, for example, calculator example? Do you think that you can do it? Yes. I'm waiting answer.
Yes.
Okay, Rashid says I can.
Yes.
Okay. What about you, for example, Merve or Mehmet? Do you also feel comfortable?
Uh, Actually, not.
Okay, then it's better to maybe do some another examples. Okay, let's do then. Let's start with post request and how to access the data. So as I said before, now we created our server, and this is our port number. It can be up actually, doesn't matter. And then here we will have our middlewares. Okay, I will close this part. So in this part, we will basically create everything that handles something for us, like I explained a couple of minutes ago. So here, for example, I will say, okay, app, use body parser in JSON format whenever there is a call that you like. This is very simple. Hey, Express application, please use body parser and use the format of this. This comes from body parser, so you can define which format do you want to parse. We want to parse it everything to JSON, and that's it. That's simple. Or you can say raw or whatever. Okay. So now, if we go to the here, go to here, I will create another method. I will format the code first, and then I will create another method. And we already saw that we have like a lot of post request types. For example, get, you already saw it, and then post, delete here, and then put. So we have, I think we have patch as well, but we don't use most of the time. So there is a lot, but you should know get, post, delete, and put. Basically, put is the same as post, and delete is the same as this get request. There is no difference. Only difference is the using purpose. So I will create another path which is called uh, data, let's say, okay? And then again, request, response, and then a function, response, send, data. Oh, sorry. Response, send, request. So we access the request. And then inside the request, there should be something called body. Then I will, in this case, I will just send back the body. Okay. I will start now postman here. 1 second. Okay. So, postman. 1 second. by the way, since today I will be the only one, we can maybe merge these two lessons into the one. So we can also, since you guys know most of the things, we can. I not cool what is going on here. Postman. Okay. Okay. So now let's start with localhost and 3000 was data, right? So here we have body. Wait, which kind of body are we gonna send? And then I will choose row, and I will create a JSON file. Hello. And this text should be application JSON. Close. This also should be closed. So let's send it. Cannot get, yeah, it should be post. As you can see, we get the response back. Okay, and let's say I want to send back instead of body. Let's see, what I am sending is hello, right, inside the body. So what I can do is body dot hello. Then in this case, I should get only word. Okay. See, I get only word. So this is how we access the data. In order to visualize it, actually, we can also do something like that. Console log request body. And then whenever we get call, we know what is the data. So we have this data in this body. But let's say in this now here, I want to, let's create something like calculator again. I want to, I'm sending number 1, which is, let's say, 3, and then num2, but it should be inside quotes. Let's say it's 6, and I make now call. We see we have number 1 and number 2. And let's say instead of sending the request body, I want to send num1 plus request body num2. So basic calculator. And we have valid status code. Let's see what's wrong. Is, well, yes. Here is the thing. When you send back a number directly, Express assumes that you are sending a status code. Did you see how I already, I think, showed you last week what is status code? Do you remember it? Guys?
Yes.
So basically 200 was successful, and then 404 was unfound, so the resource not found basically, and 401 was unauthorized. Basically what we can do is we can, and now when you send a number, not string but number directly, then Express.js assumes that you want to send a status instead of data, but we want to send data. So what we can do is we can wrap this up, wrap this inside an object, and then say, or we can even say send this inside an array. Then it will be okay. You see, inside array we get our sum. But normally the way that you do is you basically create an object and then you give a key, something like data, oops, and then let's format this, and then the data is number 1 plus number 2. You can see that inside the response body we have data, but also here status is okay, 200. For example, let's say we want to yeah, let's say this is our API and someone didn't pass number 2. What would happen? Then data is new. So let's say we want to check if whether if there is a data or not, and then if there is no data, we send back a status code, which is status code bad request. Okay, and this is 400. So when there is something, when you get a data that you don't expect, you send back a request code of 400, which means bad request. In this case, what we can do is, I already show you how to destruct data, right? So what we can do is var or let's say, and then request body, and then here I will destruct num1 and num2, okay? And then here I will say num1 and num2. So it should be the same, but here what I will do is basically I will check if num1 exists and also num2 exists. Then I will send back this response. Otherwise, if they don't exist, or yeah, if they don't exist, then I will send response status 400 sent. So let's try it out. If I now make a request without number 2, I should get 404, but I didn't get. Why? Let's check it out. Because this if statement is not true, because here I'm checking if any of them available. It should be and, not or. If they both true, if they both exist, basically. So here now what I will get is bad request. Also, you can add some data inside bad request, maybe message and then bad request, or something is missing, whatever. And if I do it now, see, we have also a message. We have our status code, which is bad request, and this is how it works, basically. Is it clear so far?
Yes, it's clear.
Yes, for me.
Yeah. Okay, and I will delete this console. body, and I will now format the code so it looks better. Here, what we can add also is another uh, thing, which is, let's say, operator, okay? And then what we can do is we can put this operator also inside the if statement. So if operator also there, then what we do is, oh, okay. So then I will change something here. I will also add this into the check, but here, instead of checking all of these if they exist, instead of I will check if they don't exist. If they don't exist, then oops, then I will return this status 400, and then I will do the logical things here. If I save now and send, I should get the same result. And let's try with the correct num2, enter again that request, and now let's add operator as well, and then minus. So okay, we get now some data. So the check validation works properly. And let's add this operator logic. For this, for example, I can add here all the logic is in the SL statement, but what we learned how was you need to always separate stuff, so you don't have logic at one place, and you don't have like one file with 2,000 lines and scrolling down always. What I will have now is another file. I will call it helper or whatever, and then here I will create a function that gets num1, num2, and operator. We created this function, by the way, already. So, and then I will say this calculator, and then I'm basically now trying to show you the whole stack, like how you work with Express, but also with the things that we learned, for example, switch case and all of these basically. So now if we create here a switch case, you already know what's switch case, right? You all know, I guess. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So switch case basically I will check the operator each time, and in case it is, for example, minus, and I will return num1 minus num2. That's it. I will delete break because we are returning something. It's unnecessary now. And then I will just copy this. 1 second. 4 times, because now I will also plus. I will also have this divide symbol, and then I will also have this, or let's say x in this case, or yeah, sorry. But also I will star as well. So in both cases, it should work the same. If someone passes operator as a x or star, it will always multiply. Then default, I can say let's return invalid operator. Okay, so I did format the code, and then I will export this module export. I already showed this to you as well. And then we can directly export this calculator function, but let's say we will have something else here later on. Then that's why I will export them. Export them inside an object, so we can export more than one. And here I will basically import it. Cons. Oh. And the file is now, if I go one folder back, and then helper.js. What is wrong here? I don't know. Let's yes. So helper.js. I think you don't have to write with this JS part. And then I will say control space to get the first suggestion, which is calculator, what I need. And then in case something is wrong, we can basically actually return this to this also. Like if it's false, if it is false, and if it is false. Or, sorry, this. If any of them false, which means if any of them undefined, in this case not false, then we return bad request. Otherwise, we return data. But now we're returning something, always a plus. I will say here, return data calculator num1, num2, num operator. Let's format the code. So basically, this will run before we send the request, probably, and then that data will be the result of this function. Let's try it. Here we go. Say now we should get 100. Yes. So that's clear. And if I pass this, and let's make it 10. Yes. Also x, same. Let's say I want to pass also something weird. Then invalid operator. Okay. So that's it. And do you have any question about these things?
No.
No, thank you.
Okay. So the calculator is, but did I do anything different than Angela here? Or did I miss something?
Şöyle yazmış olsam da.
Sorry?
Or you forget to make a.
Okay, I think it's the same. Since you don't reply. The next step is, let's jump to the parameters. How we can achieve this, the same functionality via get request. Do you have any idea? Guys, are you there?
No.
Okay. Let's try it. App delete. Again, instead of data, should be actually calculator. And here again we have request, response. So, but instead of having only this part as a calculator, now we need to add something more. We can send basically data inside the URL. We can access, for example, if I now change this to 1 second, yeah, parameters, and then if I say, let's say num1, and then 5, num2, and then 12, and then operator -1, sorry. You see here something else, right? Now, what basically happening is we are sending the same data instead of as a data package. Let me clarify it with this. So normally we were sending a data, let's say here's the gate post request, and we were sending the data here, right? Something extra, let's say something extra attached to the request. But what we do now is basically the request itself, the path, the gate that we create, basically it will include this information. Okay, the request already will include this information. So the address already includes this information. And how does it works? So if I make this call now, it's not data by the way, calculator. If I make this call now, I will cannot get calculator probably. Yeah, because not delete, it should be get. But we will not response, send, anything. So let's try it now. We get anything. We get nothing, sorry. And then if I delete this, same happens. Why? Because these parts are kind of optional. So if you put after a request question mark, which then it means you are starting with query parameters. So anything after question mark will be the name, then equal sign, then the data that you want to send. These 5 can be even an array, but it's not wise. When you want to send some complex data, you don't want to send it as a query parameters. You want to send it. You would want to send it as a extra attached body. Okay, this is not body. This is parameter. So let's create now. If I say, for example, request param, you can see there is like this is how we access these. And if I now say console log request param or params, sorry, if I make call now, you can see it's empty. Why? Because we didn't say inside our get function that we will get these parameters. Okay, param is a function, I guess. Yeah, param is function. Then it's almost same, but here we go. What we will have is I will create when you define a variable here. Basically, I will say num1. So and then num2, and then again. But this is, let me go back. So this is, the query parameters are different. Now we will see the passing stuff through the URL. So here, if I make a call now, calculator, I will get, you cannot get, because now what we expect is a calculator slash something slash something slash something. So these somethings can be anything basically. Now I will get something because I will get some data, so 200, this response, because the request now is correct. Okay, so let's go back to from Postman to here. You see, there is, I need to, like, there is, how do you say, 3 different level on this URL. So in order to access this one, I can check my function, and the first value is called num1. This is like a variable. I can make it something else also, like first value. And if I say now in console log, if I just make a call again, here you can see it's now called first value. The first value after calculator now is the first called first value. So if I say now hello and again make call, it's now called hello. So basically what we are doing is just to give a name, like a defining variable, but inside URL. And here we will have our parameters. So request parameter again, and then they are the same as what we get here. We can use the same destructing method, but not from body this time, from params. If you delete this, by the way, then it will become a normal variable, and num1 request params num1 will not exist. Let's take a look. Cannot make, because this 2 is wrong. This is not dynamic value. It should be always num1. Okay, now it will work. So if you put this 2 dots, I don't know how it's called now, I don't remember. If you put this before it, then it basically gives Express to make this this parameter dynamic. Then you can pass whatever you want. It shouldn't be like, you can pass something like that, and then here we go, we have it. Num1 is this. Let's come back and do our stuff again here. So I will have again the same if statement. If operator num1, num2 operator, any of them false, then we send a bad request. But this is not possible here, because if you send one of them, basically if you don't send one of them, then you will get cannot get. This path will not exist, because the path exists with 3 different slashes. So 3 different. This is not gonna work. I think then this is not necessary anymore. And what we can have is this, and then delete this. So we will get the same result that we have from the last. And here we have invalid operator because we passed 5. Let's make it plus. And as you can see, we have something is wrong here. We got 23, but it's not number, it's string. Do you have any idea why is that? Does anyone has an idea?
I think these are strings.
Yes.
We should put the we have to write the number um, before the variables.
Yes, that's true. They are, as you can see, or here maybe what we can do is console log type of num1, for example. And if I now make again this call, go back, it is string. So what we can do is while we are passing them, we can call number, or we can do, it's better, I think, we can go to the calculator function, again helper, and then we can put here. I don't know, it's up to you what to do, but normally it is always better to do it somewhere else. So num1 is always, make num1 always number, num1 equals, so override, we are overriding num1 with the number version of it, and then num2 again the same, and we do it now, we get 5. Okay, so that's it. And this is basically, let's say you have, let me just show you something. Yeah, let's say I click this book. As you can see, we have now here the same logic. Book starts with like.
Sorry, I have a question with the calculator part.
Yeah.
If you not pass the, I mean, we are now at the same thema, calculator of not.
Sorry, I didn't understand. Sorry.
I'd like to ask a question with the helper. How does helper works?
What like how does it works?
Helper together with you do in server.js
Yeah.
some data, and the helper, how helper helps in server.js.
How they are communicating, he is asking, I think, yeah?
Yeah.
I think last week I did explain how does this importing and exporting works, but I will try to explain it now again, but if you don't understand, you can go actually back to the last week's, and then you can also watch there. But basically this is a function, and let's say I will copy this and put it here somewhere. I will just comment this now. It would work the same, right? Do you understand how does this work? Do you understand how does this work? We have a function here, then we call this function here. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Then the difference is basically when we create a file, this is a function, but what we do here is basically we say this calculator function, this calculator method will be exported from this file, so it will be available to import anywhere inside this folder, okay, or even in the other folders. So it will be available in whole project. If I create another file called index.js, and if I go top and say a require from helper.js calculator, like the same, look, I'm exporting the same. Let me show it like that. Yeah. So we are exporting in this way inside an object, and then we are importing from an object, and we say where to find it. It goes basically C users, my name, and then desktop, not helper.
Okay, it's clear.
Okay. So this only the missing part. I think you missed only this export.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's format the code. So I was explaining how this, like how you can use this in the real life. What we have here, for example, a book, and then after book there is some weird numbers and letters, which is basically an ID. So if I go to, for example, this, and then what you see here is we are this browser makes call to API section, and then with this ID. And then with this ID, basically inside the backend, I use this ID to find this part inside database and then return back. So what we could do, for example, here is like instead of num, let's create another one actually. Don't delete this. Oh, let's create from scratch app get, and then slash, say what we can have is students, and then slash here we have ID, okay, or name or whatever you want. I will say call it ID now, and then request response, and then I will have, instead of database, I will have some date dump, sorry, value dump object, but not here. I will also create it in helper, so server.js will be clean. I will say const students, and then object inside object. Let's say the first student is I don't know, say range, and then two is ref. Let's write only like uh, okay. Let's say now for now 3 students. I will also export this so we can use it in the server.js. I go to server.js and then I will import it. If I go top, it will already, it's already suggested. Then what I will do is request, not request, yeah. I will get first the ID. So let's say let ID request parameters and then ID. Okay, same this, and then I will send back send students ID. So if it's, for example, if the ID is 1, it will go to the students, and then 1 is, I don't know who, well, yeah, Erdinch will be returned. Okay, so let's go back students and then 1. You see here, and let's say 2 again. Let's make it also inside an object. Student. Okay, now if I clear, yes, we have better view. So if I say 3, hidden, and if I say 4, which doesn't exist, then we get empty because it doesn't exist. So the same way, instead of this, basically in this website, it makes call to database to bring that book with that ID. Is it clear?
Yeah,
Yes.
clear.
Yeah.
Clear.
Clear.
Okay, so you know how you're going to use this ID with not ID. Let's say how we are going to use this dynamic parameters in the future, because this is not the way that you use it. This is like an example to show you how does it works. But also, this one was the query parameters, but also there is another query parameters, which is, for example, C, the one that we saw first, method and a question mark, and then something, and then the data, and then the key data. So let's take a look at that one actually, because it didn't work first. We already saw it. I will search. By the way, do you see it here? Instead of accessing the parameter like that, what we can do is call param function. Then we can pass the parameter name as a first value, and then there is a default value. So what we can do is basically parameter value is ID, and then default value is if someone, well, if no uh, value passed, let's say, I think, then you can put 2. But this is not gonna work with this way, because in this way, this is not like optional, this part. You should always put something after students in order to call this API, this method. And that's why it's not gonna work, of course. But if we use the other way, see, cannot get. But if we use the other way, which is like this, ID equal blah blah, then it should work. But let's take a look this, because this is also important to know. I will go, yes, and I will create another one actually. Gain app get students, yes, and then question mark name. Let's say, let's try this if it's gonna work. I think it should be something like that probably. And let's try it out. And then request response, console log request parameters, and then send something. Here, let's try this. App students. Nope, didn't work. So let's take a look then how we are going to work with this. Forums. Yeah, but maybe this one. Let's try it actually. was ID. Let's take a look at it. Students. Yes, I think this one. So question mark and then ID. No. ID is undefined. So we are missing something. So all the students, not students. Name still undefined. Still undefined. Let's take a look more. This is the way that we already used. Not this. Render, no. I will search on Google. Express query forums. Yes. Well, it's not parameter, it's query. That was wrong. Okay. Yes. So this is query, this is parameter then. Okay. They're different things basically. I think even if we delete this, should still work. Refresh. Yes, it's still working. Look, refresh. So this way, then you don't have to. You can also make this empty. Oops. Then we have nothing as a query. In this case, refresh. We have something. Let's see if we are missing something or not. Check. Query ID. Yeah, it's query. Then what we can do again is, for example, let's say I have the same, I want to create the same calculator with display, okay? Then what we can do is we can distract these values from request instead of request parameters, request query, okay? And then in this case, we need to check because they can be empty. You don't, if someone like goes directly to student instead of, let's make it calculator. This and this will not basically conflict because this is not calculator. This is calculated something, something, something. And let's add this. If any of them empty, send bad request. And then else, actually we can return. So we don't have to use else because it will return and function will not go to the next step. And here, what we can do is again send and call operator. Let's try this. As students, calculator, bad request because we didn't pass. num1 and again and num2 equal and let's say 3 again bad request and operator equal in this case minus. Yes, now as you can see we get the response, but now invalid operator. Why? Let's console log the query completely. We can see what's going on. Somehow plus is not, probably we need to do something like that. No. What about this? This works. X also works. And then plus has special meaning in query parameters. So, well, plus sign in query string. Let's search for it. Yes, as I said, sign has semantic meaning in the query string. It's used to represent a space. Ah, okay. So you need to specify with the code of plus. But don't worry about this. This just I'm basically trying to show you how you can how do you say, how you can solve your problems when you have, for example, normally I could say, oh, what's wrong? I could maybe spend like half an hour on it, like how is it because of Express and whatever. But now I just wrote plus sign in query string, and then the first result is always first result, and then sign. Basically, it says plus sign means represents the space, but we could also understand it with this because we put plus sign and then go back here. You see, there is a space, not nothing or something like that. So plus space, and therefore now we know. Yeah, you could fix it maybe with this, as this guy says. You could say operator is if operator is the space, and then change it to the plus or whatever. You could fix it basically easily, but that's not the point. So you know how to do it. Do we have any questions so far? Guys?
No, there is a question.
No question.
Okay, then I will stop now. And after like 45 minutes, so 12:30, we will have another session, and probably it will take less than this one because there is not that much stuff to do. It's all about Express.js get post requests, and then if you have questions about old stuff, also I can try to explain them as well, because we have time to spare this week.
Are you going to give an example about delete in the afternoon or
Yeah, we
not?
can. Yeah, we can. Well, let's then.
If it doesn't take long, can you like?
No. I will then create a basic CRUD operation. CRUD is basically create, read, update, and delete. So yeah, here also you can see we can do this with dump array or something like that. So with dump how do you say, database, then we can close today's lesson. Okay. Okay, if you don't have any other questions, then see you in 45 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Thank you.